Hey everyone, welcome to the Happy Flosser podcast. My name is Billy Lunt. I am your host, and I'm here to talk to you about all things dental hygiene to support you on your journey through the dental hygiene program. It is so great to be with you today. And today we are going to be talking about emotions, and emotions are all over the page when we're talking about being in the dental office or working as part of a member of a team. So what I want you to do is think about the top 6 emotions that you feel when you're at work or school. So for the students out there, when you go to school, what are the top 6 emotions that come to your mind? Or as a provider, when you go to work, what are the top 6 emotions that you feel when you go to work? So I just want you to think about those and just rattle them off in your head. So I'll share mine, and I wrote these down. Frustrated, enthusiastic, inspired, supported, grateful, challenged, overwhelmed. So you can see that if I pick, and of course I picked more than 6, but if I were to pick the emotions that I just feel daily at work, those are the emotions that kind of come out of me. And I want you to then think about how many of those were negative and how many of those were positive. And then think about how those emotions influence your environment and how you show up at work. It's good to look and see kind of like what is it that in your state, like in your own head, what you're feeling might influence your environment, but then what part of your environment is influencing you. We always say that we want to focus on the positive and just kind of let those negative emotions go. But it's really important to first identify what it is that you're actually feeling. And the more equipped you are to notice and recognize your emotions, the more you'll be able to really foster growth and opportunity to create a better environment for yourself. Consider how to change your situation without actually changing your situation. Does that make any sense? Some people think, I just need a different job. I need a different place to be. I need to put myself into a different environment. But if you actually think about when I say change your environment, I'm actually talking about you. Change what's inside your head so that you can change your environment. So it's not about getting a different job. It's about not going to a new place because guess what? You're going to take yourself with you when you go. So it's about changing the environment inside your head, the things that you're thinking about. And what are the sources of the emotions that you're feeling? So if you think about those 6 things that you feel, what is the source of those? Do not give other people all of your power. That power comes from within. And so you have the choice whether or not you let those things filter through and spill into how you're feeling. And you remember the source of those things that are causing the emotion, those things actually create your environment as far as how your perspective is, what you're seeing. So what you focus on, you magnify. And so if you're magnifying one single episode or one single emotion that you continually feel, you'll get yourself in a stuck state, right? So when you expose yourself to an environment and people impact your feelings, and then you don't deal with that feeling, or you let that feeling kind of control the environment and the situation, and then ultimately you're not able to move past that and you will get stuck. And we can only act on what we think about. That's why I want you to think about the positive side, the positive feelings that you feel at work. We are all challenged in what we do for a living, both positively and negatively. So when you think about your self-dialogue, and maybe you're a self-sabotager and you have this self-defeating negative self-talk, you want to see if you can create some win-win outcomes for yourself and notice that self-talk. So one of the things I want to talk about is positive intent. Positive intent is something that I don't think typically comes natural to most people. Although I will say that I'm guilty of being an extreme positive intent person, and I don't know why. I just think that everyone has positive intentions. And when I figure out that maybe they were meaning something negative by it, I'm usually taken back by it. I'm usually stunned. And I have learned that is not a natural tendency for most people. So most oftentimes when people say something, you want to make sure that however you're interpreting it in a positive way. I'll use a story of an example of an event that happened to me at work. I was in a dental office. We were working. It was one of those days where we were just so far behind schedule. We had all these patients coming in with emergencies and situations. And I even had some overflow emergency patients come into my operatory. And I was taking a quick x-ray on somebody with a swollen face. The opportunity of ever having a lunch break that particular day was pretty much zero. And it just so happened that we had a patient who didn't show up right before the lunch hour. And so we ended up, even though we were all behind, but it looked like we were actually going to end up with a lunch break. And so I was in the break room. I was pulling my things together because I was going to run to the bank and do a couple of errands at lunch. And in walks a patient that was late, and the dental assistant was upset because she thought she was going to have a lunch, and then she ended up not having a lunch. And so I'm in the lunchroom getting ready to leave to run to do these errands. And I was like, oh, I've got to go here, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that. And I was kind of saying it out loud in my head, like all the things that I had to just run around and do. And the dental assistant said to me, yes, well, at least you get to. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. I get to. I have the ability. I'm capable. I can walk. I have a car that's reliable. Like all of a sudden I started thinking, she's absolutely right. I'm sitting here saying all these things that I have to do, but truly I should remain grateful and grounded in the fact that I'm capable of doing all of these things, and I will be able to get them all finished in this short span of time over the lunch break. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for letting me know that I was, in that moment, I might have sounded like I was complaining, but I wasn't. I really appreciate that you helped center me and bring me back to a place where I have to remain grateful and know that I should have more gratitude towards the fact that I can go and do my errands at lunch. And she said, no, that's not what I meant. I meant I don't get to have a lunch break and you do, and you should be. And so I was like, so in that moment, I had taken positive intention that coworker had positive intent for me, but instead she was actually saying, you get to leave and go do your errands, and I don't get to leave and go do my errands. And so I totally missed the point that she was trying to make, because I tend to err on the side of positive intention. That's what I'm talking about here. So as a result of that conversation, when I got back, I was able to relieve her, because I wouldn't have recognized that either. I was able to relieve her so that she could take a break and go do her things, because she was able to communicate that with me. So to have positive intention, or to understand that others have positive intention, even if they don't, it helps build understanding and strengthen relationships. It helps create supportive dialogue between people that you're working with, and it can really foster good relationships and develop deeper, more meaningful understanding of one another. Because honestly, we're all coming from different sides and different perspectives. And if you have the opportunity to have those conversations with positive intention, it really opens things up and makes people more available to share what they truly feel. When you approach a conversation with curiosity instead of judgment, it keeps the lines of communication open. And even if there's disagreement, right? In that moment with that dental assistant, I think there was disagreement. And because I was non-judgmental and I didn't take anything personal that she was saying, I was actually able to understand where she was coming from and then create a supportive outcome with her so that she was able to express how she was feeling in that moment. So it's about staying connected, using really thoughtful language with one another so that you're remaining kind and compassionate and connected rather than confrontational. All right, I guess that conversation with that dental assistant in the break room could have gone a completely different way. So instead of being offended or taking it personal that I was having a lunch break and an opportunity to go run errands and she didn't, it was more like, how can I support you rather than this is unfair? How can we make this work? You're absolutely right. I shouldn't be complaining that I have to go do errands. This is a great opportunity for me. And then the other piece is to really practice that active listening. Focus on understanding the other person's perspective and what they're trying to convey to you, what they're actually trying to say. And I think if you can keep positive intention at the core of your listening, when you're listening to someone, you're less apt to get disagreeable or confrontational or kind of put up your guard. Validate their point of view and the feelings that they're expressing to you, but know that they're not really aimed toward you or intended to hurt you. It's really about what's going on inside of them. So if you can practice active listening and really be thoughtful and engaged in the conversation, it'll help open that person up to maybe create a solution that will kind of pull them out of the mud of wherever they are. Sometimes you can avoid that criticism that goes on. And sometimes, and I have to say, because I usually think that people have positive intention, I tend to miss the social cues of criticism. Maybe somebody was trying to be critical or criticize me, but I didn't even notice it because I was too busy being solution oriented, or I was too busy thinking that they're frustrated and have positive intentions of a good outcome. And so I might miss that social cue that they were trying to be critical. I don't really know. I just know that if you stay solution focused and understand that people sometimes maybe their tone isn't right, or maybe the words that they choose aren't correct. But if you are empathetic to the fact that they have additional stress in their life, or maybe they're overtired, or they didn't show up quite 100%, and you just provide them some grace and stay solution oriented, it goes a long way. It just filters out the negativity, and nothing tends to snowball when you're approaching it in that way. And when you consider how the other person might be feeling and respond with kindness, and this goes with coworkers and with patients alike. When a patient shows up in our chair, they are not the best version of themselves at all. And I actually think that these types of concepts that I'm talking about, thinking about how your emotions play out at work and how your emotions play out with your teammates, also how your emotions play out with your patients. If you're running behind, running late, get to work late, didn't sleep well, maybe you didn't make all the best choices, maybe you skipped breakfast, haven't drank enough water, you are just not your whole self. And recognizing that you might be at an 8 instead of a 10 when it comes to your emotional stability, allow yourself the grace to take a step back, right? Pause, stay centered. And what's so cool about being a human is that you can take a moment and start over. I tell this to my kids all the time. If you got up on the wrong side of the bed, or you spilled your coffee, or you forgot your lunch, all the different things that kind of set the day in motion, you can allow that to ruin your whole darn day. Or you can pause and say, okay, I'm starting over right in this moment, and I'm just going to hit the reset button. And I'll tell you what, you can do that over and over and over. And some days you might need to do that on the hour. Some days it might be like, oh, it's Monday, right? So we have all of these things that we attach to our human behavior that cultivate a collective, almost like a renaissance of bad behavior. I don't really know. But what's so cool about being a human is that you can start over. Maybe you had a super anxious patient to start your day, and it just created this, like you took in all their energy and it created this negative environment for you. What's cool is after that patient leaves, you can actually start over and say, okay, I'm going to just reset my day. Because what's weird about the brain is that our brains remember things, and we tend to return to these behaviors and these strategies over and over and over, both negative ones and positive ones. So sometimes you have to anchor yourself in what type of self-dialogue do I want to have when doubt shows up? What are the things that I have to proactively do to remove that doubt? When others show doubt in my abilities, what do I need to do to change and to cultivate an understanding and collaboration with others, free of judgment, and an open dialogue with those people so that I can deepen my understanding of where they're coming from? It's really about having an awareness. So that's why if you start off with, what are the 5 emotions I'm feeling today? Which ones are positive? Which ones are negative? Which ones are being influenced by the conversations I'm having with myself in my head? And which ones are truly from my environment? Now, dental hygiene school, super stressful. You are not the best version of yourself when you are in dental hygiene school. You're also not the best version of yourself when you are a clinician running behind. Let's just face it, those kind of go hand in hand. So show yourself what you're made of while you're in dental hygiene school. Can you take that criticism from the faculty who actually showed up and took the time to give you feedback to help you be better? How are you going to behave when that faculty member gives you that negative feedback to say, no, that's actually not correct. What we need to be doing is this. And they adjust your instrumentation skills in the clinical setting. Are you going to dwell on that and make that turn into this negative emotion attached to you? Or are you going to say, wow, that was really brave of that faculty to stick their neck out and help me by approaching me to make that shift and make that change? Because I'll tell you, when you have a safe space as a faculty member to be honest and communicate without fear of judgment by a student, as a student, you're going to learn so much more if you are welcoming that feedback from faculty. Sometimes we shut ourselves down, we shut ourselves off from the faculty, and it makes it really hard to learn when that is going on. And the same holds true out in the dental field. When you get out there and you're working with seasoned hygienists who are trying to support you on your journey, and you're taking them the wrong way, or you're not looking at it as a safe space for honest communication. You're being judged. Maybe you're feeling judged, but maintain emotional awareness of yourself and regulate what you're feeling. Regulate how you're responding and see if you can manifest some change in that way. Take ownership of how you're showing up in that environment and take the time to learn the skills that you need to build your emotional intelligence so that you can learn from others. I have to share, the more I learn about stuff, the more I realize that I don't know as much as I want to know. And the only way to learn more is to keep yourself open to that growth opportunity that's right in front of you. I've been a hygienist a long time. I'm teaching students every day, and I still feel like there's so much more I need to learn. It's just amazing to me. So don't feel judged. Don't feel like people are being critical of you. Know that this is all people trying to instill growth and opportunity within you. Even other providers in different disciplines, they're all learning from us. We're learning from them. Maintain that emotional awareness of how you're showing up and how you're feeling to keep yourself open to the opportunity of growth and learning. That's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you're having a fantastic week. It's so great to be with you. I really appreciate every single one of you, and I hope you have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.